All right, thanks guys for jumping on tonight's team call. Before I introduce our speaker to you guys tonight, I'm just going to give you a quick few reminders, especially with Summit coming up soon, less than 30 days away. Hope you guys are excited. Don't forget that if you want to order your tank top for Summit, to make sure you get those orders in by next Monday, okay? So make sure you send the money to Rose through PayPal and update the spreadsheet. And even if you're not going to Summit, you can still order a tank top, okay? So don't forget. There's also a new Facebook group open for us. If you want to learn more about Shakeology and the performance line and just details about, things that maybe you don't get a lot of information on, but sometimes you do get questions about it. We have a new group set up for it. So just ask one of us for the link for that if you aren't in it and you want to get in it. And don't forget, there's also the step-by-step training in our team page now for the coach basics, the welcome email to send to your new coaches, getting them started right, everything like that. And then last but not least, if you are going to Summit and you want to go to our team dinner, I can't think off the top of my head what day it is. I want to say it's like Saturday night. That's Saturday night right before the closing ceremony. If you want to go to that team dinner, make sure you get your money paid for that, because that is an RSVP, and so that we know ahead of time who's coming, okay? So I think that's all the announcements. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our awesome speaker to you guys. For tonight, we have the privilege of having Lindy Gault. She's actually been a coach for 6 years. She is a 6-figure earner. She is an 8-star diamond coach, Success Club 10 All-Star, and All-Star legend. Let me get that right. And she's also a fitness instructor who owns her own studio. So we're super excited to have you, Lindy. So take it away whenever you're ready.
Okay, awesome. Good job, by the way. Rose kind of told me what she does with you guys and throws you right out there and has you do the intros, which is awesome. I've never thought of doing that. I'm like, I'm totally stealing that idea. That's a really great idea because it helps you guys get your feet wet and get comfortable with it. So I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight. Thanks so much for having me as your guest speaker. And I thought I would start by just giving you a little bit of information about me, since it's always nice to hear a little bit about other coaches' stories and kind of their paths to how they got where they are before I jump into our topic. So first of all, as they said, I have been a coach for 6 years, which is crazy to me to think about that I've been a coach for that long. But I actually was in the health and fitness industry before starting as a coach. I was a group fitness instructor. I was the director of a health club in my local area for a few years. And quite honestly, although I had what I thought was my dream job, because I was doing something that I loved, that I was passionate about, I was getting paid to, work out, all of that kind of stuff, I was miserable because I was overworked, I was underpaid, I was forced to focus on the bottom line of the business rather than on actually helping people. And that was what my heart was. My heart was serving other people, helping them. I actually had gotten my start as a member of the gym and became a group fitness instructor, and from there was recruited to be in marketing, and then from there it just grew. And it took me away from what I really loved to do, was to help people and to serve people. And it had me focusing only on making money and looking at people as numbers in the gym. And so I started looking for a way out. I started looking for a better option. I had been there as the director for about 4 years when I came across the opportunity with Beachbody. And I do say came across it because that's actually exactly what happened. I had never done a Beachbody fitness program. I had never tasted Shakeology when I signed up as a coach. Challenge groups did not exist when I signed up as a coach, neither did challenge packs. Like, nothing that we have now was there when I first started as a coach. And what happened was that I went to get certified to become a PIO instructor. And the girl who was running my certification, her name is Christina Sullins. And you may know her name. She is a 15-star, superstar diamond coach, part of the Millionaires Club. But she kind of flies under the radar. She's a quieter superstar diamond coach who isn't in the spotlight a lot. But anyway, she was the person who was running my certification, and she didn't promote the Beachbody opportunity. They weren't allowed to do that. But I just happened to overhear her talking to someone, one of the other instructors there. And she was just talking to them about it and saying, yeah, it's really growing right now. My team is growing and here's what's going on. And I just happened to hear them say Beachbody coaching. And I was like, what is this thing that she's talking about? And I went home and I researched it. I looked it up on Google. I had never heard of Beachbody coaching. I didn't know what it was. At the time, this was 2011, so the network was still really quite young. The network started in 2007, so it was only a few years old at the time. I looked it up and I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, this is my thing. This is my out. This is maybe what will allow me to be able to continue working in the fitness industry and helping other people, but to not be doing it to build somebody else's dream and to focus on the bottom line. And I emailed her the next day and I said, hey, I was in your certification yesterday and I overheard you talking about Beachbody coaching and I want to sign up. What do I need to do? And so she told me what I needed to do. And within 100 days, I went diamond in my business. So how many of you are like, oh my gosh, I want one of you? I want somebody who just emails me and goes, hey, I heard you talking about Beachbody coaching and I'd like to sign up. And oh, by the way, within 3 months, I'm going to be a diamond. But that was what happened, because I just knew when I found coaching that I had found what I wanted to pursue. I could not believe that there was this opportunity for me to be able to do what I love and share with people what I love, which was fitness, and nutrition, and to get paid to do it, but to be able to like set my own schedule and determine all those kinds of things. And so I became a coach in 2011, went diamond pretty quickly, but then I sat at diamond for 2 years before I had any leaders develop on my team, before I ever hit star diamond. And the reason why I share that with you is because I don't know, what phase you are in your business or how long you've been a coach or anything like that, but I think those things are important to know, because I think that a lot of times people struggle with how long it kind of takes to get to different levels in the business. But during that time, during that 2-year period where I was still growing my organization and all that, even though I hadn't become a star diamond coach yet, I was building the volume of my organization, which is where the income is actually made as a coach. It's not necessarily in rank. So even as a diamond coach, I got to a point where I was earning over $1,000 a week as a diamond coach. And I tell you that to encourage you that whatever you're doing and your rank, it's not the end all be all. You can grow a successful organization, simply with the volume and by the number of people that you're helping. So anyway, journey of my coach then beyond that, it continued to grow. In 2015 was my biggest year of growth. I went from being a 3-star or a 2-star to a 6-star that year. And then the following year went to 8-star. And it's just been an amazing ride. It's been an awesome thing. I was able to, after 3 years, I was able to retire from all outside work. I quit the health club about a year and a half into being a coach. Took about a $50,000 pay cut to go work somewhere else, but I could do that because I was already starting to make up that income with Beachbody. Within 3 years, I was able to quit all outside work and go full-time into being a coach. And that same year, I also, like they mentioned, opened up a group fitness studio in my hometown, and I was able to do that debt-free because of coaching as well. So it has changed my life, and that's why I'm here sharing with you guys tonight. So I don't know if you know what my topic is, so I'll go ahead and tell you that. Do they know? Yes? Okay. So the topic that I have today, and this is one of my favorite topics to do, I actually did this call for the very first time. Gosh, it has probably been at least 2 years, maybe even 3 since the first time I did this. But it is the 3 questions that all coaches should be asking regularly. So if you're taking notes, you'll want to jot that down. And these questions, depending on how long you have been a coach, these questions may not be anything new to you, but I hope I can give you a new perspective on them, or maybe some new ideas in terms of how to use these questions when you're talking to potential clients, potential coaches, all right? So first of all, questions are so powerful. When you're asking questions, you are controlling the direction of the conversation. So, if you think about it, when you're having conversation with somebody, the person who's asking the questions is the one who's directing the way the conversation goes. And that's not to be like, strategic, manipulative as you're talking to people, but you're the one who's kind of in charge. And so if you're talking to somebody, especially when you're talking to new people that maybe you've connected with online who've never met you in person, by asking a lot of questions and really engaging them, you are able to direct the conversation and get them to really talk about themselves, which is what will allow them to come to trust you, because they'll start to open up about themselves as they answer those questions. And I think that too often coaches get tripped up because they feel like they need to have all of the answers and to be providing the people that they're talking to with tons of information. They think that they need to have all the details for our products or our programs or nutritional information. But what people really want when they're talking to you is to be heard and to feel like they're being understood, because a lot of people don't have that in their everyday life. They don't feel like they connect with people, or like that when they're talking that they're really heard. If they're a mom of young children, they probably never feel like they're being heard. They may not feel like they're being heard, in their office setting, in their work environment. Maybe they don't feel like they're being heard by their spouse. People want to be heard and to feel like they're being understood. So when you're asking questions and you're asking more of them, as I'm going to talk to you about with these 3 questions, you're allowing them to feel that way. There's a quote that says that you were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Maybe you guys have heard that quote. And it's so that you will listen twice as much as you talk. And when you ask questions, you have a chance to listen to people. And that's what people want. Listening is powerful, and it's a great way to be a good listener is by asking questions. So there are 3 questions that I use regularly, pretty much every day in my business, and they've really helped me to get more conversations going with people and to have more success with conversations. So the first question that every successful coach needs to be asking on a regular basis is why? And you've probably heard this before, what is your why? We talk about that a lot, but I want to go, into more than just what is your why. But it really all starts with why. There's even a book that's called that, I think. It all starts with why. When you know why, when you know someone's why for anything, it doesn't have to do with our business or fitness or nutrition, but when you know someone's why for anything, the how becomes easier. When you know what somebody wants and why they want it, it's a lot easier to then say, here's how you can get it. The how becomes easier. So whether you're talking to somebody about fitness or nutrition or Shakeology or an online challenge group or the business and being a coach, it always starts with why. There's so much power in that. So I encourage you to ask it more often than you do, and that when you do, to not settle for a surface answer. So for example, let's say that somebody says to you, hey, I've been seeing your posts. I've seen you talking about Shakeology. I've been hearing about Shakeology for a while. I think I'm finally interested in learning a little bit more. Your response should be, why are you interested in learning more? Why? You don't want to respond and be like, oh, good, I'm so glad that you're interested. Here's all the information, and here's my link to order, and here's all the nutrients that are in it. You need to respond and start with a question. Why? Why are you interested in learning more? Because when you know their why for being more interested, it's going to be a lot easier to talk to them about how it could probably benefit them. Maybe they're interested in it because they need to lose weight. Maybe they're interested in it because they just know they're not eating healthy enough. Maybe it's because they're super busy and they need at least one convenient meal in the day. Those are 3 different reasons. And you want to know the why so that you can cater then what you talk to or talk about with them to that why. So if they say, I'm interested in Shakeology, I would say, why are you interested in Shakeology? Let's say they say, because I want to lose weight and start eating better. That's great. Why do you want to lose weight and start eating better? That answer might be obvious, but you're trying to dig a little bit deeper and get a little bit more information. Maybe they say, because I am going to be a bridesmaid in a wedding this summer and the dress doesn't fit. That's a pretty specific reason. That's a pretty specific reason compared to, I just want to lose weight. If you know that somebody just wants to lose weight, 90% of America probably wants to lose weight. That's not that's not specific enough. But if you hear from them, I'm trying to lose weight because I'm in a wedding this summer and I tried on the bridesmaid's dress and it doesn't fit me anymore. That's a different kind of answer that you can work with, right? So you ask them why, and they say because of that. And why is that important to you? That's another way you can ask them. Why is that thing important to you? So, maybe their answer is because my doctor told me that I'm at risk for diabetes. That's a totally different answer. And that's an emotional subject as well. But you won't know any of these things if somebody says to you, I'm interested in Shakeology, and you immediately respond with the information about Shakeology and how they can get it. You only know those things when you ask why, right? So here's another example for you. Let's say somebody says, I'd like to know more about your online group that you've been talking about. I really need to lose weight and get in shape, and I think that the accountability would help me. My response would be something like, that's great. I'd love to tell you about it. Please tell me a little bit more about yourself and why you want to lose weight or get in shape. So instead of responding with, great, I'm so glad you're excited, and then all the information about my group, I ask them why first. I want to get to their why first. Let me give you an example for coaching as well before I move on to the next the next question. Let's say somebody says, so what's this coaching thing you're doing now? Maybe you're a new coach. I've seen several of your posts about it, and I'm a little bit curious to know what it is you're doing. Your response could be, sure, I'd love to tell you. Why are you interested? What is it about it that intrigues you? I think that so often we get so excited that someone's interested in what it is that we're sharing, and we go, oh, I'm so glad you're interested. Here's, I see lots of people nodding. Here's all the information. And then people go, whoa, okay, well, thanks. Let me think about that. Let me read through that. Let me mull that over. But if we stop and we say, I see you, I hear you, I want to know more about you, I want to learn why you're interested, and then we cater what we share with them to their why, not only have we created a relationship right there, but we've allowed them the opportunity to start to trust us. And then we're able to speak directly to what their need is and their reason is. So that is why is such a powerful question for you to ask. And I would even say that you'll feel a little bit like you're asking it too much, but you're probably asking it just the right amount. You'll know when you're like, okay, it's time to stop asking why. Like, you don't want to turn into that, 4-year-old child who's like, but why? You want to make sure that you ask it and then limit it and then move on to the next thing. But I think it's just such an important question to ask. All right, question number 2 is, have you ever considered? And maybe you've heard this one before as well, but this really is a casual way to invite someone to consider what it is that you have to offer, whatever it is, whether it's Shakeology, your challenge group, on-demand, coaching, whatever it is. It's a casual way to invite someone to do it. It can be used with the products or with the coaching opportunity. It's a great way to open the door to conversation and to share in a way that feels natural in a conversation. You won't feel like you're trying to sell someone something when you ask this, because the question kind of earns you the right to share with them. Because what you're saying is, have you ever considered trying Shakeology? Or have you ever considered becoming an online coach like me? If they say yes, then it opens the door to be able to talk to them about it. If they say no, you could maybe say, something like, well, I think you should consider it because X, Y, Z, or whatever reason you've considered for them. So let's say you're talking to someone who has shown interest in improving their nutrition in some way. They're just, you're talking about food and nutrition and whatever. It's very easy for you to say, hey, have you ever considered trying Shakeology? Right there. Have you ever considered? And then you say, it has helped me with X, maybe whatever thing they just said that they're struggling with. You're talking to somebody who says they need to get in shape and start working out again. It's been a long time since they worked out. You can say something like, have you ever considered doing an in-home program like 21 Day Fix? Something simple like that. Again, it feels like a natural part of the conversation rather than, oh, you should try 21 Day Fix, or I sell 21 Day Fix, or something like that. Have you ever considered is a much more casual way. Let's say you're talking to somebody who says, I've tried everything to get results and I'm just frustrated because, you know, I'm not seeing changes in my body. You could say something like, have you ever considered working with a coach who could help you stay accountable? It's a great way to be able to then introduce what you do as a coach and how you're able to support them and offer them some tools and resources. For the coaching opportunity, let's say you're talking to somebody who is complaining about their job and saying that they wish that they could earn money a different way, or that they wish that they could work from home, or, you know, whatever it is. You can say, have you ever considered starting your own business? So this one, I bet you thought I was going to say, have you ever considered becoming a coach? But I didn't. I said, have you ever considered starting your own business? That is a different question. And you know, how they respond may be something like, oh, absolutely not. It would be so expensive to be an entrepreneur. I don't know what business I would start. And that's a great way to lead into, well, you don't have to, you know, create your own or do anything like that. You can do something like what I do as a coach. But have you ever considered starting your own business is a great way to start talking about the coaching opportunity and say, I actually started my own business. Here's the reason I did it. Let's say you're talking to somebody who works in the health and fitness industry. This is another place that you can use, have you ever considered? So like I said before, I work in the health and fitness industry. So I encounter people a lot who are personal trainers or who are instructors or whatever. And I can very easily say to them, hey, have you ever considered branching out in what you do to be able to help people online as well? You know, if they're working with people in person, they're a personal trainer, you're limited as a personal trainer by the number of hours you have in the day and when that, you know, when your clients can meet. But you can do a lot more as a trainer when you're working with people online because of the flexibility of it. So have you ever considered branching out to help people online? All right, question number 3. Hopefully I gave you enough examples there on have you ever considered, but it can be used in nearly, I mean, so many different ways, so many different conversations that you're having with people. I think that as you start talking to people again, you'll be like, oh, this is a good place for me to use have you ever considered? All right, question number 3 is, if I, would you? And again, maybe you've heard this one before, but this is a simple way to invite people to learn more about what you can offer them and get a commitment from them in return. If I, would you? You're actually asking them, if I did this, would you do this? And most people aren't going to be like, no, no, I wouldn't. If you sent me something, I wouldn't look at it. Most people just aren't. But it's nice because it's like a reciprocal effort in this question. So if I do this, will you do this? Like I said, most people aren't going to say, nope, sorry, I won't. So when you're struggling to figure out how to share with someone, this is a great thing to use. So let me give you some examples again. When you are sharing about an online group, you're sharing about one of your accountability groups or challenge groups, whatever you happen to call them. If you're talking to somebody, you know, and you say, if I ran a group that provided tips, tools, and information to help you get results, would you be interested? If I, would you? If I gave you daily coaching and accountability to help you with your weight loss goals, would you take advantage of that? If I, would you? Same thing. Let's say you're sharing about Shakeology. Oh, and you guys, I know some of you are taking notes and stuff. I am happy to copy and paste these examples and shoot them over to Rose, and she can post them in your team page as well, just so you don't feel like, oh my gosh, I can't write down what she's saying. When you're sharing about Shakeology, if I got you a single serve packet to try it out, would you try it? You know, if you're talking to somebody who's never tasted it before, if I got you a single serve, would you give it a shot? Or if I told you that it came with a 30-day money-back guarantee for an entire bag, would you be willing to give it a try? It's just like these natural ways that make it so much easier to talk about these things and to ask people about being interested. If I told you that you could get all your nutritional needs in one day through a $4 shake, would you be interested in it? Again, it's just an if I, would you question. Or if I sent you a short video that tells you more about X, would you watch it? And then you can use this with your business as well when you're wanting to share the coaching opportunity with people. If I told you that I found a way to earn money from home by helping others with health and fitness, would you be interested in hearing any more about it? And I would do this obviously in a conversation with somebody that I know or whatever. It wouldn't necessarily be a cold market one, or that would sound kind of salesy. If I sent you a link to a video presentation, would you watch it? There's just so many ways that you can use this, but it's like I said, the power of this one is the fact that you're asking them to commit to something instead of just saying, let me know if you're interested, which is what so many people do. We share, about something, and then we finish an email with, let me know if you're interested. And that basically is giving them the green light to never email you back. It's basically like saying, I'm probably never going to hear it from you again. That's okay, because I don't want to be uncomfortable by asking you to actually answer me. We need to say, if I, would you, and ask them for an answer. All right, so those are the 3 questions. Why? Have you ever considered? And if I, would you? And those are 3 questions that I have been using for the life of my business, at least the last 3 years of it, that have really helped me a lot when I'm struggling in conversations or trying to initiate new conversations with people. So, all right, that is what I have. I don't know if you want to open it up for any questions or anything, Rose?
Yeah, totally. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. All right. So when you go through and you're talking with someone, and let's say, they say, I'm interested in learning about your group. Then you say, why, or what makes you interested in learning about the group, or what makes you interested in the group? And they respond. Do you go straight into like asking them multiple questions? Like, why do you want to lose weight? Or, like the list, what kind of workouts do you prefer? Or do you kind of like set it up where you're like, do you mind if I ask you a few questions to see if this is a good fit for you? Because I know, like, for me, I just like wanted to jump on. Like, my coach kept asking me questions, and I was like, I don't want all these questions. Just sign me up, Do you kind of preface it, or do you just jump right into the questions?
So I guess it kind of depends. I try to gauge it based on the person. Sometimes you can tell based on their personality and if you know them at all. But it's tough on social media because so many of us, we don't really know each other, and we start interacting via Messenger and stuff. So I try to ask questions, but I generally can tell if somebody's like, I don't, if they respond and they're like, yes, no, 30 minutes, this, they're giving me like really short answers. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a signal to me that they're like, I don't really want to do the whole Q&A thing. I kind of just want the details. But then there are other people who will email me back, and it's like they're giving me their life story. This is what I've struggled with, and here's what all those kinds of things. That's the kind of person you can tell it's important to them for you to know what their why is and how they feel and, all that kind of stuff. So I gauge it based on that, but I initially start out with what makes you interested, why that way. And then kind of how they respond from that is usually how I decide which way to go. If I can tell they're just direct, they want the information, then I'll be like, I would love to give you, all the information. There are a couple things I want to know from you first, just, to help me. But I keep it short and sweet. Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. Thanks.
Yep.
Anybody else? I will always ask a question. So with 6 years, you've been a coach, right, Lindy?
Yeah.
What, like, we're doing a Surge to Summit group. So people, pushing, for the next, 28, 27 days. And a lot of things, or one main thing that I've seen that people have that limiting belief on is fear, and like fear of failure. So I'm kind of putting you on the spot. What is one thing that you failed at, and how did you overcome it in this business?
Oh gosh. That's a tough one. I guess what I would say, so I mentioned earlier that 2015 was like my best year. I started in 2011. I felt like I just like took the slow train to success in terms of the way that Beachbody, you know, like defines success in terms of the rank and elite and those kinds of things. But I still had a very successful business that I had built. I just wasn't achieving, you know, certain things. And then in 2015, it was the year that I like really advanced rank quickly. I hit elite for the first time that year. And that was also the year that I had my my son. My first baby was the same year that I hit those goals and all of that kind of stuff. And so then the next year, I had in my mind, like, okay, I mean, I hit elite, I like basically doubled my rank and, you know, my income and all that kind of stuff. I can totally do that again this year. I'm doing that again this year. Like, there's no way I cannot do that again this year. Now that I've, you know, done it once, I need to make it happen again. But I was a new mom for the very first time, and my life was completely different. I mean, before that, I had as many hours as I wanted to work on my business every day because I had nothing else in the picture, and this was my full-time work. And then all of a sudden I had this human being to care for, and we had struggled to get pregnant. So I knew that I didn't want to miss, you know, any of that. And it was about halfway through 2014 was the year that my business exploded and I hit elite and all of that. So then my son was born in 2015, and it was about halfway through that year that my corporate mentor called me. And for those of you who don't know, when you hit a certain level in the Beachbody business, a corporate mentor starts working with you. They basically are like, hey, you know, you're doing great. I want to partner with you and see what you need and help you. And you have regular calls with them and that kind of thing. So it was about halfway through the year they called and said, you know, it looks like you're kind of struggling a little bit this year. You're not really on track to hit your goals that we set at the beginning of the year and that kind of thing. And I said, yeah, I know it's been tough. You know, we built a house, we moved, I had a baby, and my life has just been different this year. But then I said, what do I have to do? What do I need to do to hit it? Because I want to hit elite. I want to reach this goal and whatever. And he told me what I needed to do. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And within 2 weeks, I was like, I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm just, it's not going to happen unless I basically like ship my child off every day so that I can, you know, work on my business. And I felt that year, I didn't end up hitting elite that year. And I felt like I failed because it was one of those goals that I had set. And it was also something that it just seemed like this is what's important as a coach and all those kinds of things. And I'm not saying that that's not something to strive for, that's not important or anything like that. But it felt like I failed. And I think that this is an important thing for coaches to know, especially as you go through the life of your business. Again, I don't know how long any of you have been coaches or anything like that, but that you're going to have those times where you have to kind of decide what's most important and what thing you're willing to fail at. You know, does that make sense? Like, for me that year, I wasn't willing to fail at being a mom just so that I could hit the goals that I had set for my business. My business was still going to be there. It was going to be successful. I just wasn't going to have those certain little pieces of recognition that maybe I wanted to have, but I could never get that time back with my child, you know? And so maybe this is a totally different, you know, answer than you were expecting, but I think that it's so important in our business because we can sometimes kind of start to lose ourselves in this when we're striving and we're trying to reach these goals and all that kind of stuff. And, I think that I would say at sometimes there's going to be a point when you have to choose which thing is worse to fail at, you know, which thing you have to make your priority and what things are the things that really are important to you as a coach and for your business.
No, love it. Love it. Great stuff. All right, guys, last time for any questions. We have an amazing coach online, so don't miss out on this opportunity to ask something that you've been holding back this whole time.
Oh, good. I'm glad I just read the comments. I'm glad that what I said just helped. I think sometimes we need to give each other as coaches permission in those areas. You know, I mean, this is a business that that if you're not careful, it can start to just kind of zap your spirit a little bit. You know, if you're constantly striving and hustling. And I did the hustle thing for so long, and I got to a point where I was like, I just don't want to hustle anymore. You know, like I want to reach certain points in my business, but I think everybody has to get to that point where they decide, they decide which thing is most important for them. And ultimately I had to remind myself, I did this because I wanted to have financial freedom, and I wanted to have flexibility of time and all those kinds of things. And if I give all of that up in order to reach these goals, what am I really, you know, doing? So important to keep it in perspective, and for all of us to give each other grace and permission in those areas.
Definitely. All right, guys, I think we are good. Lindy, that was freaking awesome.
Oh, good.
Send me those notes. I think everyone wants their hands on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure thing. Thank you guys so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right, thanks. Enjoy your night, everyone.
Thanks.